Hello there, everyone. This is a video about some ideas I wanted to give to the developers who make toy soldiers. They are pretty much working on Toy Soldiers 2 Finest Hour. This video is to give them some ideas about some things they can add to the game to make it quite unique, so here we go. Well, here is pretty much the game I was talking about. This is Toy Soldiers 2 Finest Hour. I am rather excited for this game. It looks like a lot of fun and I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, I'll be talking about my ideas for this game. Now, this is an idea of a boss, the P1000 Rata. Well, I do believe they will add this to the game as a boss, but just in case, I wanted to pretty much bring up the idea, though, of why they should. This would indeed make a great boss. I mean, this was the largest tank that the Germans ever planned on pretty much making. Like, this was a monster tank. It would have weighed like 1,000 tons. It was so big you could pretty much put the gun of a destroyer on it. I do believe this should be a boss in Toy Soldiers 2 Finest Hour, and it would make quite a unique boss indeed. They might add it to the final level in the game, most likely in the German capital of Berlin. Moving on to the next boss, this is basically a Japanese one. Of course, this is pretty much the aircraft I'm talking about. During World War II, Japan had plans to produce like a Godzilla-like seaplane. Now, I wanted to bring this aircraft up, as this was basically what Japan planned on making. Of course, this aircraft was never built, but it would make quite a unique boss. Most likely an air-to-air boss. But you can just see how big it is compared to those Japanese aircraft. I do believe this should be added as kind of like a second boss. I know the Yamato will be a boss in Toy Soldiers 2 Finest Hour, but this should be a boss as well. I mean, this is quite an impressive aircraft. I hope they will add it to Toy Soldiers 2 Finest Hour as a boss. I really hope so. Now moving on to the next one is the P1500 Monster. Now, this is no doubtly potentially a boss, but it would most likely be a boss with an artillery gun. Well, I hope they add it at some point, but moving on to the next one. Now this is an idea for a DLC I thought about, which would take place in the Winter War between the Soviet Union and Finland. Basically, here's the idea though for the DLC. You would play as pretty much the Republic of Finland, and you would fight off the Soviet Union from taking over the country. And I think this would be rather epic indeed. And just for the record, I did not own this image. I just took a picture of it from a Country Ball animation. I wanted to take a picture of it and show you because, well, it does look pretty cool when you look at it. Now, the idea of this would be, well, the player would play as Finland and would defend Finland from a Soviet invasion force, which would be pretty cool if you want to ask me. The final boss would be the T-42 Super Heavy tank, as this was a land ship that the Soviets, did thought about making but was never built. This would be the perfect boss for the Finnish Winter War. And I hope they do make this into the final boss of a Winter War DLC. Moving on, this is a German aircraft carrier, and I haven't gotten to discussing about this yet, but in the next DLC idea, the next DLC idea is like this. The player would play as the United States and would defend the United States from an Axis invasion. Pretty much from Germany, though. So basically, the player would defend the United States. One of the ideas, though, for this would be fighting the Germans in New York City, defending the land of liberty from a German invasion. And the final mission would probably take place in the U.S. Capitol. And honestly, I think it would be pretty cool, though, in pretty much the New York level, to pretty much see like a German invasion fleet, and eventually like seeing German aircraft carriers, battleships, aircraft, as well as landing craft. It would be a pretty cool invasion to see indeed. It would definitely be a very cool DLC, especially for Toy Soldiers 2. And why not make a DLC of an Axis invasion of the United States and defend America from an Axis invasion? This would indeed be beautiful. It would be a lot of fun. I mean, just imagine fighting the Germans in the United States Capitol. That would just be pretty cool. Now, this is the Flying Wing Bomber. This could be basically just a reticle enemy, but this has the potential of being a possible boss. This was a gigantic aircraft that the Germans did indeed work on, but it was never built. Still quite impressive. But I do think this should be a boss at least. I mean, this definitely has a potential of being a big boss and defend the United States from the Axis invasion DLC. Now, what could also prove to be a reticle enemy or a possible boss would be a German UFO. And this would indeed be pretty cool, though, to fight German UFOs in pretty much like New York or Washington, D.C. And could definitely prove to be a potential boss. Okay, moving on. The final DLC idea would be Operation Unthinkable. Now, in case any of you never knew, this was an idea from Winston Churchill to liberate Eastern Europe from the Soviet Union, but the idea was rejected because the Allies didn't want World War III and they did not want to fight the Soviets. Now, in the final DLC idea, the United States and its allies would fight pretty much the Soviet Union, and the player would pretty much play as the Allies trying to liberate Eastern Europe from Soviet rule. And I do think we should have some jet aircraft like the MiG-15 and the Sable aircraft. This would be quite a unique idea, though, for definitely Operation Unthinkable DLC. And jet aircraft were produced in World War II, so I do think that jet aircraft should be used for defend the United States from an Axis invasion DOC, as this would definitely be pretty cool to fight German jet fighter aircraft as well as Soviet MiG-15 jet aircraft. I mean, this would definitely bring some epic dogfights to Toy Soldiers 2, as it did have some epic dogfights over Korea. Okay, the possible final boss would be this tank right here, like the Tank Aurora 1000 TG5. Well, I don't think I think it might just be Soviet propaganda or something, but this would indeed prove to be a pretty cool boss for Operation Unthinkable DOC. I mean, this would likely probably been the final Soviet boss. So, I would say, like, this should probably be considered a boss. I mean, this would be a pretty cool boss to face off against an Operation Unthinkable, like the final boss. Anyway, this is all the ideas I have for Toy Soldiers 2 Finest Hour. I hope they get accepted. I mean, they all pretty damn cool if you want to ask me. Anyway, that's all for now, and thank you for watching.